to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, back to talk more Doctor Who Season 9. We're on Episode 5. It's called The Girl Who Died. We were going to be doing this in both parts. I was planning on doing The Girl Who Died and The Woman Who Lived. But unfortunately, a lot of things happened yesterday that set back the channel. Some my fault, some because of complications with YouTube. So I just did not have the time to do both. And I kind of feel like it doesn't really need to be done in two parts. This one kind of has like a break in it. And even though it's to be continued, I think that there's a separate story just about the same person going on in the next episode. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to be like, I've had like everything's been pretty good, so, like, on the channel, but every once in a while, you get something happen on your channel, and it just kind of brings you down a little bit. So I even debated, I want to keep to the schedule, right? And I need to start doing I keep putting off my Doctor Who's till the last minute, even though I could do it any time during the week. So I feel like I'm starting to pull myself too much, like, with everything that's new that keeps coming out. And already, like, I'm keeping to my regular schedule of stuff, but then I add in The Witcher, I add in The Expanse, I add in movie reviews, and trying to get it in comic reviews. It's starting to, like, I'm not getting burned out. I'm just feeling like I just don't have enough time in the world to do all this. It's making it very hard to, like, be excited about going to work when you'd just rather be here doing this. And then not seeing a lot of traffic on videos like these or The Expanse, things like that, where you're putting a lot into it and not getting anything back. It can be hard, but you know what? I gotta remind myself, I do it because I love it and I love talking about it, and I love this episode. It actually made me think for a second. I was like, it's all right. This is really embracing the cheese of not cheese, but like this felt like an older episode, or what would be an older episode, I think. Because it has this, like, really over the top looking kind of aliens that are, clearly don't really look that real. But it ends up being a really fantastic episode, and I bet you a few people have been, like, waiting maybe for me. The few people that watch this are probably waiting for this one. Because we get Maisie Williams, who's in this, who's my favorite actress from Game of Thrones, and she's quite a little actress, right? And it's a shame that New Mutants movie apparently was so bad that they'll never release it. I do think it's strange that both her and Sophie Turner were both in X-Men movies at the same time, but just separately. But Sophie's got released because it's X-Men, and Maisie's didn't because it's New Mutants. I actually was more excited for New Mutants than I was about Dark Phoenix. But I'm already off track. So, I like the beginning of this episode. We jump right into the end of an adventure, and how the Doctor uses distractions to keep Clara from completely panicking while she's stuck in space with a bug in her suit, and explosions happening on the TARDIS. I thought it's really clever to, like, get her to talk about other things while he figures out how to get her back onto the ship. But the key to this part of the adventure, as one adventure ends and another begins, they talk about the rules, which ends up being a very important thing here. Like, how he did what he could for this group of people, but he's like, I'm not really a cop, even though it says it on the box. We're time travelers, we have to tread lightly. And that ends up being like this huge part of this story at the end, where they're taken by Vikings at the beginning of this, because they break his sunglasses, which, I mean, you could see that coming a mile away. But they get to this place, they're the primitive Vikings. He tries to be the Doctor, I'm going to break out the yo-yo and talk about Odin. And all of a sudden, Odin's in the sky, and I thought, oh my god, that's great. That is so great. Like, saying that there's no gods, and then the god shows up in the sky. And it turns out that these guys, though, they're not gods, they're aliens. Really horrifying aliens, actually. I mean, the guy's wearing this Odin mask, but underneath it's just all teeth. Just huge, sharp teeth. which is pretty great design actually. And they come and they kidnap people from Earth to basically use us to turn us into testosterone. And I gotta blow my nose. You ever just have to do that in the morning where you're fine right afterwards? Like, I have to sneeze or blow my nose, and then after that I'm good. It sounds like I'm all like sick or something, and then you're all right. Well, they've been taking people to turn us into testosterone. They squish us literally, and somehow they take our blood and guts, which is awful, horrifying. For what happens to these poor Vikings. I mean, literally, they get vaporized and then reduced to like nothing, and then they just drink us. It's freaking crazy. And apparently they've been doing it for a while and probably going all over the place. There are these warlords that are only interested in war and taking the toughest warriors from everywhere. It also kind of like it's that joke of ancient aliens and what they do when they come here and where do the stories come from, like what started it. And this would be kind of it's an interesting take on an ancient aliens kind of story. But Clara and Maisie get taken as well. They finally say her name. It is a Shielder. And they're going up this race called the Mire. And they're a race that just goes around kidnapping the toughest people and drinking their testosterone. It's simple and gross. I also find out that, at least I find out, that the doctor speaks baby. Okay. I mean, he's pulling out he's pulling the emotion from the cries and the nonsense that what it really means. I think you're giving babies too much credit. Uh, but it's still pretty interesting. Um, but she wants him to help, right? She wants him to stop this from happening. But in the end, he has to tell her about time, like, hey, here's the rules again. We can't really step in because if we advance people too quickly, it's going to pick a bigger target on Earth's back, and then everybody dies. Like it's like in Justice League or Avengers, where as soon as the cosmic world finds out that Earth's a player, all of a sudden everybody's coming to us to take us down. Like, oh, they've jumped up and it would just be bad. So I get what he's saying here. And clearly we're fine, right? I mean, people were hurt and are killed throughout history, right? It's just progress. And that may be a cold way of putting it, but we're all still here. The world's still a spinning. And so he's got a point. You have to let things play out. But it's not easy to be a time traveler sitting there and only being able to affect a little bit at a time. Um, he starts to get an idea when you talk about fire in the water. And he decides that they are going to stay. And this is where it turns into the Save the Village story. We just had one of these on The Mandalorian, but this came out before that. But this Save the Village story, the Seven Samurai type of storyline, where they try to get the villagers to stand up and train them and give them like weapons and all that stuff to fight a insurmountable force that's coming to take them. And so I kind of was like, just cause like it's just been done to death. Um, Not that it's bad here. It's just you want to see. There's only so many stories they can tell, right? And eventually they get around to these kind of things because they're like, well, what do we do? What do we do? Okay, let's just do them saving this village. We also get more about him worrying about her. And that, she's just like, stop worrying about me and figure out how to win. You always do this. But she's just deflecting. She's deflecting as usual. But she is right. He always has the plan all along, and it's time to get on with it. Also, why aren't they speaking like Norwegian or like Nordish? I know that's not a real word, but like everybody else is kind of talking in a way that, I mean, did they have like a universal translator or something like that, or did they all just have to sound British? Because I would think they would all sound like, I don't want to be stereotypical or culturally insensitive, but shouldn't they be talking like more like, if they're going to speak English, shouldn't it sound more like Norwegian English? Like, Because Maisie's just talking like Maisie. Like, hi, I'm Maisie Williams. I'm a Viking. Um, and basically her character is a Viking version of Arya, except she's not really a fighter. She's more of a, like, she makes things. And she makes puppets and props, like, to keep herself occupied while the warriors are away because they won't let her fight. We're introduced to the eels, the electric eels that play a part in this. So fine, they have electric eels, and they come back because they start this fight, right? Arya, not Arya, Ashildr, when they're taken up on the ship, she starts. She's being the warrior Viking that she wants to be, and she tells this Odin, fake Odin guy, like, you're gonna fight us, and so he rises to the challenge and says, hey, we're gonna take on your like biggest warriors here, and basically they're all doomed. But they put the this helmet on her, and he connects her up, and this is where I kind of got lost a little bit, kind of like she was using like a version of his sunglasses to make them see when they come to fight. First, they use the electric eels to fry the robots, and then they have like magnets that they built out of like the anvils and stuff to take their guns away, and then they make the aliens see like a big ass like serpent monster, like a sea serpent, attacking them, and they bail. But the last guy sees that it's a fake, that the girl was making it with her mind, like an illusion, and so they blackmail this guy into leaving or have their reputation like exposed that you got beat by an illusion by a bunch of Vikings, and so just live and let live. And that, again, that's kind of the doctor doing what he can, but he can't go the full nine. He can't just straight up stop these guys or take them out, because then they're allowed to go and do more terrible things across the universe if they feel like. He just stopped it from happening here. And it's almost like no, I'm not going to go there. I was going to make a comparison to like how, there would be other doctors all over the universe maybe helping other planets, because Doctor seems to just be, focused on this one mainly. I mean, they go to other places, but I was thinking like Green Lanterns and how that works. But when they realized that she died, Ashildr, she had heart failure inside the helmet and died. He basically is talking about how she was used up like a battery and died in the helmet, and it's really sad. And they don't know what to do. And he had this moment with her when he passed her in the street at the beginning, of like this kind of premonition, this like kind of deja vu kind of moment, and it all comes down to from the very beginning when he changed into this doctor's face. Where did he get this face? Why did I choose this face? And it turns out that, as any hardcore, Doctor Who fan would have already known, he was previously on the show as it looks like he was a Roman, and that this was from the David Tennant run when he ran into this character that had his face, played by Peter Capaldi. And it was about saving someone. If you can't save anyone, save someone. And it's that face is what Tennant saw in the situation, and so that's why he took this face, to be a reminder to be that he's the doctor and he saves people. And that's huge. So he puts this chip on her head. I don't get any kind of like, I don't know what this is. I'm assuming that everybody else knows what this kind of chip is, but he puts this chip on her head. It goes right, it absorbs into her body, and apparently it just will consistently fix her throughout the years, so that she's essentially immortal. That she'll never die. It looks like she'll never age, or at least never get too old to die. I mean, yeah, if the thing is true that as soon as you're born you start to die, then literally she probably just stops right where she is. Just to keep up with it. So she's lost the ability to die, and he gives them a second dose, and she'll know what to do with it when she needs it. and it's revealed that, this is just another chip, so that, being immortal, kind of like the Doctor is almost, um, I guess he would be. He can die. It's like I like the immortal story that you can live forever just as long as somebody doesn't kill you, or something doesn't get you killed. As long as nothing, like no disease is just gonna come and kill you, that kind of thing. But that being immortal means you watch everybody die, and you don't have anybody to go through eternity with. But that's what the second chip is for. When she meets somebody to go through life with, uh, she'll have a partner, so that way she wouldn't be alone. And she's basically an alien human hybrid now. And they show her kind of like going through time, like skies and everything going by, and all of a sudden her face changes to kind of, it looks like almost like maybe she's gone bad, or I don't know. But I mean, when you live forever, I bet you there's some years in there where you might be tempted to be, like, well, if I can't fucking die. And so that's the end of the episode. And I know next week we'll be talking about the woman who lived, and how we're gonna jump to see, it's like the 1600s, and see where she's at now that she's been alive for a really long time. And I really dug this because it does change the rules. He's yelling at the universe, basically, that if you don't like how I'm doing it, then, go to hell. So if you liked this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. You can find me on Twitter at reviews_gun. Sorry if I'm not as me about this, but like I said, trying to keep to the schedule and get these in. And I mean, I really dug this episode, so I don't want anybody to think that my lackluster kind of delivery is any indication I'm not enjoying watching this. In fact, it really bothered me that I wasn't going to have the time to put both of these episodes in at the same time. So anyway, this is Rob saying have a great day, and we'll see you next week with part 2, The Woman Who Lived. Bye.